This tutorial is for this mushroom where the lid comes off and it's kind of like a basket that's hollow and you can put the bees inside. So we'll start with the mushroom and then I'll show you how to make the mini bees. This one with the face. I do suggest that like the softer kind of mystical yarns, or what's that other stuff, the loops and threads one that's a little bit fuzzier, might not be the best for the base. The top is okay if it's a little bit floppier, but you want a pretty dense yarn for the bottom, if that makes sense to you. So besides that, we'll need 3/4 of a skein for the base, depending how big you want to make it. Like you could make it a little bit bigger than this, or you can make it a little bit smaller, just depending what kind of vibe you're going for. Like how cute would a little mini mushroom be with just like one bee? And then you'll need like half a skein for the top. Accessories, scissors, a round counter, stitch marker, and then in the bees you will need to do color changes, so a lighter is also handy, or if you wanted to do like color changes on your own or use variegated yarn for the top. Anyways, we will get into this. Starting with the base, I'm just gonna get some slack. Move this stuff out of the way-ish. We're going to leave about an 8 to 12 inch tail just so we can close off the bottom. We're going to start from the bottom up. So create our slip knot, take our working yarn over the tail side, and then pull up a loop. I like to knit pretty small, so these are going to be like 1 finger width. To tighten the slip knot, you're just going to pull on the yarn tail, and to adjust the size of your loop, you just pull on the working yarn to get it to the 1 finger's width. And now we're going to chain on a total of 9, keeping your loops consistent. So there's my 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now to create your circle, I like to knit lately in the counterclockwise direction. I tend to have tighter tension, so I take my yarn tail up to the top and go down right where that last loop is coming through, and I go down through the top part of it. If you want to knit in the clockwise direction, just take this yarn tail to the bottom part of that chain where that last loop is coming through, and then I would adjust this last loop too so that my working yarn is coming out to go that way. But I have found if I want to keep my loops tight and things smaller, I like to go in the counterclockwise direction, which is to the left if you're not familiar with counterclockwise and clockwise. Clockwise is to the right, counter is to the left. So then I'm going to adjust this first loop so it is really nice and small. That was the tail. That's why I'm like, why is that loop not moving? So the tail, you can just keep it up there or move it out of the way. I need a tail. There we go. So then I'm going to pull up small loops around this circle that I have made, making sure that your chain is not twisted with that circle. So then I'm going to pull small loops all the way around, and you should end up with 8 under these, out of these chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Now I like to use my stitch marker. That counts as round 1. I am going to knit around another 8. Going up right through those loops. So we want this to be pretty flat, so we're encouraging that. Round 2. Round 3, we're going to knit 1 and then increase. So knit 1 and then pull up a loop between those 2 loops, and then we'll end up with 16. So I'm just going to lay this flat. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's our round 3. Now I'm actually going to want to close off this bottom just so I can really help encourage this to be flat. So this is going to be the inside, obviously. So this is the outside. This is the knit side. This is the purl side with the bumps. Okay. So to close off this middle opening, because I'm going in a clockwise direction, or counterclockwise direction, I'm closing in a clockwise direction. If you are knitting the other way, close off counter if you're knitting clockwise. So you're just taking your yarn tail from the inside to the outside of those beginning chain spaces. I like to pull tight as I go, just so I have less chance of breaking my yarn. I'm going to come through here. And there's still one little piece there, so I'm just going to go through the middle and back up and out. And then if you still have a little bit of a gap, then you can make your yarn tail across the circle and then back just until it closes. And then you want to end up with the tail on this inside purl side. Then you can find a stitch right here, anywhere on the inside that's close to the center, and then pull your tail through, creating a loop, and then take the tail through the loop and pull tight. You can do that twice, but you do want this tail to be gone, hidden away on the inside as well. So I will trim it up. I'll get a good burn on that middle cord, and then just tuck it away. So flipping it back over, we are now just going to knit around the 16. Round 5, we're just going to be purling. So if you don't know, like I said, this side's the purl side, so it's the opposite. Instead of pulling your loops up and towards you, take it to the front and then push it to the back. And we're going to be, this is going to be used to kind of change the direction, so we start knitting up the side. So this is one way. If you really can't get this and you're really confused, just flip this around and then just knit in the opposite direction. So now I'm knitting in the clockwise direction. And then that way, this way also you can kind of start to encourage it to build up the side. Now we're going to knit for 6 rows, just those 16. You could do a couple more rows if you did want to make it a little bit bigger, but again, I caution you that if it gets too tall, it might become too floppy, and then you put the top on and it will kind of collapse. I find that even mine, if it's sitting there for a while, it does tend to like flop to one side or the other, but mushrooms kind of tend to do that too, so that's fine. So if you want to knit along, that's fine. If you want to fast forward, go ahead and fast forward. Last round of this 16. Okay, now we knit 2 and decrease, and we end up with 12, and then we're gonna knit those 12 for one less rows than as many rows as we did that, so it'd be 5 rounds because I did 6. If you did a few more, then do one less. I think it should work out. If you've made it too big, it's too big. Decreases just alternate. So first one I'm going to do is left over right. So it's just taking the one loop in front of the other, right over left, and then pulling up a loop through those two. And now, like I said, I'm just gonna knit those 12. I have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. For 5 rounds. So your walls are starting to build up like that. I just find I'm a little faster if I do it this way, laying it on its side, and it's a little easier on my arms. If you still want to just have it sitting on its bottom while you knit up, that's fine. Just gonna take a look. So yeah, one more. Should be fine. If you're feeling like, hey, I need to stop, it's getting too tall, it's starting to be floppy, then just stop. And we are done the mushroom base, except for closing it off and then burning the end. So cut yourself, well, actually, what am I doing? Don't cut yet. You're gonna pull up bigger loops through those last round of loops, and then you take the first loop, right loop over the left loop, because that's the way I'm knitting. And you want them a little bigger, but not super big, because we're creating the opening. But if you make them too small, then you're gonna make your opening really small. And then I will take this last loop, so there's a little bit of a space here, so take the last loop to that first one, and then you can cut like a 4 to 6 inch tail, whatever you need. I'm going to go through that first close off and then that last loop I made, pull it tight, and then take your yarn tail into the middle and then find a place to anchor it right here. So go through the stitch, go through the loop twice, then now we're going to trim again. Hide that away. Out. So this is how big the base of my mushroom is. It might be a little bit bigger than this one, but again, they all kind of have their own little style. So we'll move on to making a lid that goes on top. Next, we're making the lid. So you can make yours multicolored or whatever, but I'm just gonna make mine red. Reset this. So we're gonna start this one off the same way we started the other one, with our slip knot and leaving a good 8-inch yarn tail. So working yarn over the tail side, pull up your loop, pull on that tail to tighten the loop, and then adjust your working yarn loop size with the working yarn. So 1 finger's width, we're gonna chain on 7. Then create our circle again. So same rules apply. I'm going to go in a counterclockwise. If you want to go the other way, then take the tail down to the bottom of that chain. This yarn might be a little bit harder to see, but it's basically a repeat of what we did before. But we're going to be pulling up, so we have 6 loops. So we had 1 to start, and then we pull up another 5 for our first round. And then I'm going to get this out of the way right away because I tend to have an issue of knitting that. And we get my stitch marker. Now we're going to knit around 6. Now we are going to knit increase and end up with 12. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Closed off the bottom after round 3, so we might as well close off the top here on round 3. So again, going through these beginning chain spaces, I'm going to the right in a clockwise direction because I'm knitting in a counterclockwise direction. This one, I'm not as concerned with getting it flat. I actually want there to be kind of a little bit of a peak on it. So then in and out through the middle once you've finished it, if you're just not quite closed. And then again, you want the tail on the inside. And then I'm going to cut and just anchor it. Okay, and we will knit around the 12. I'm just pushing my middle up again. Now we are going to knit 2 and increase, and we're going to end up with 18. And 18. I was counting that time. Now I'm just going to knit around those 18. I'm going to do 2 rounds and I'm going to see how it's fitting on top. So I'll do one more and then I'll compare to the bottom. That's annoying. Okay. Droop. Oh, definitely gonna need at least another round. So again, I'm going to try to encourage it to bubble more, so folding it in half here. Like, it's cute, I'm just not sure if I want to make it any bigger. I think I'm gonna do, I can always undo it, so I'll do one more round. I don't know if I marked that one on my thingy there. Okay, yeah, I think that's better anyways. The shape curled more. So now you're just going to, like we did on the top here, you're going to cast off. So first loop over the second loop. This one, again, if you do your loops smaller, you're going to create more tension and it's going to round it a little bit more. And then if you don't want as much tension, then just make your loops bigger. Oh my goodness, okay, almost done. Never ending. So then again, that last loop, take it to the first, cast off, then cut your yarn tail 4-ish inches, bring it to the outside, then take it back into the middle, and then I'm going to anchor it off. And burn it. Tuck that away. So I might have made my loops a little tighter than I wanted to, but that's how my mushroom. So if you don't like the more domed mushroom, like this one kind of sticks out a little bit more, I used way looser tension. But yeah, I like this.